evening, I'm Edwin Nand and this is FBC News. Tonight, President opens new session of Parliament. Files of detained politicians handed to the Director of Public Prosecutions. And government ministers ready for new portfolios. The new session of Parliament was opened by President Major General retired Chochi Konrote this morning. Speaking to parliamentarians, members of the judiciary, the diplomatic corps and invited guests, Konrote outlined the government's legislative program for the upcoming session. Ritika Pratap reports.
President Major General retired Chochi Konrote says the government will continue its modernization and reform programs to open up new avenues for investment opportunities. Giving example of the Rio gold medal win that triggered a surge of national pride and patriotism among all Fijians, Konrote emphasized on unity.
The nation calls on you to do all you can to harness the spirit of our Olympic win, to tap the wonderful sense of unity that has descended on our beloved Fiji, to leave aside petty squabbles, rivalries, division and grandstanding for personal and political gain.
Some new laws will also be introduced in the new session and existing laws will be reviewed.
Quarantine, patents, industrial designs, trademarks, traditional knowledge and cultural expression, public health protection, secure transactions, pensions, savings, subdivision of land, town planning, elections, credit unions, electronic transactions, the transplantation of human organs, anti-doping laws, the registration of practicing engineers, and residential tenancy.
The legislations that will be reviewed include the Public Order Act, the Police Act, the Arbitration Act, the Housing Act, the Public Enterprises Act, the Stamp Duties Act, the Land Transport Act, the Consumer Credit Act, the Sale of Goods Act, the Bankruptcy Act, and the Customs Tariff Act. Parliament will also review the United Nations Electronic Communications Convention for ratification. Parliamentarians will debate on the President's speech in a fortnight. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
All 6 prominent individuals who were questioned by police over the weekend have been released. Fiji Labour Party leader Mahendra Chaudhry was released this morning, while the other 5 were set free last night. Kelly Fadala reports.
National Federation Party leader Professor Biman Prasad, Sodalpa leader Sitiveni Rambuka, Unionist Tatar Singh, former politician Tupeni Bamba and Fiji Labour Party leader Mahendra Chaudhry say they were all treated fairly while being questioned at the Central Police Station.
I was questioned until early evening and the interview was then suspended and I was locked up in Rewanga Police Station for the rest of the night and released in the morning to resume the interview this morning at about 9 o'clock. And then finally it all concluded around 11 and I was out of the station.
We were treated well. I think all of us were treated well.
We were treated very well and I hope they treat everybody like that.
Yeah.
Well, I was taken in on Saturday and there was a search at my place and at this office and we spent the night in the cell. The officers who handled us were generally very polite and well looked after.
They did. They were polite. As I said, the police were very polite. They had to gather all the required stuff. My laptops, for example, we haven't received them. We have to get them back. We do not know what happened and what they will do with it, but they will return it.
Meanwhile, Human Rights and Anti-Discrimination Commission Chair Ashwin Raj says it was encouraging to see professionalism within the police force.
They have taken full cognizance of fundamental human rights. I'm pleased to say that the other persons that were held were released before the 48 hours. It's wonderful to see that the police and the commissioner in particular spoke to me in person and gave an undertaking that they want to observe the 48-hour rule.
All 5 were questioned regarding a public meeting they attended which did not have the required permit. It's also believed the police questioned Rambuka about certain utterances he had alleged to have made against the authorities at the meeting. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
And Kelly Vadala joins us live now. Kelly, what has become of the investigation itself?
Edwin, police say the investigation filed regarding those who were questioned will be forwarded to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for sanctioning. The DPP's office says they're still addressing the results of the interview and a statement is expected to be made in the coming days. Edwin.
Vinaka Kelly. And opposition leader Rote Mumukepa claims double standards are being practiced, saying there are different sets of rules for the opposition party and the Fiji First Party. Her comments follow the recent arrest of politicians for utterances made at the Constitutional Forum. Rachel Nath has the details.
Opposition leader Rote Mumukepa insists the incident over the weekend was uncalled for.
We know that meetings are being held all over the country. Unfortunately, when Fiji First have their meetings, they are not normally required to have a permit. But for other people who are holding meetings, especially for opposition political parties, we are required to have a permit.
But then in a seemingly contradicting statement, the opposition leader says she has confidence in the police to do the right thing, this being the very institute that took in the politicians for questioning.
We hope that law will take its proper course and find that they were having a proper meeting with no plan to do any harm to anybody.
Meanwhile, the Attorney General has stressed that the governing bodies are independent and the government has no say in their decisions.
The police are an independent institution. They carry on with their work. DPP's office is an independent body and they will carry out the investigations. They'll do their own assessments, their own analysis, and that's the course of law that will be followed.
Sayad Kiyum also points out that the laws allow police to carry out investigations independently.
We can see that the Constitution allows, as did the previous Constitution, that a person can be held for up to 48 hours, and they were released, I understand, before 48 hours.
Rote Mumu, who was not present at the meeting, says the gathering was for the ongoing preparations for the 2018 elections. Rachel Nath, FBC News.
And the management board of the National Federation Party decided not to take part in Parliament today. Party President Tupou Ndrawni-Ndalo says the decision was made by the management board to show its displeasure against a number of issues, including the questioning of 6 politicians by the police.
What happened over the weekend with the party leader, to us, was just too much. You know, we have had to put up with the things that we've set out in this statement.
The Prime Minister's mid-term cabinet reshuffle comes into effect this Saturday. As Ali Kimbia reports, this should ensure all Fijians continue to receive quality service.
Ministers who have been given new portfolios will have to improve and at the same time maintain the level of services provided to the general public.
The whole idea of the reshuffle, as the Honourable Prime Minister said, is to continue with the service-orientated agenda of the government.
8 changes have been made to the Fiji First Cabinet, and Sayad Kiyum says Minister will have a 5-day transition period before taking up their new portfolios. Meanwhile, opposition MP William Ngavoka claims few ministers have been burdened with additional portfolios.
I would have hoped that they could lighten the burden of some people who are carrying so many portfolios already. And there's some people in there who are quite capable, and we just wish they were given the opportunity to also carry some of the responsibility.
Ministers will debate under their new portfolios when Parliament sits next week. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
Still to come on FBC News, digital literacy program aims to provide equal access to education. And New Zealand Trade Minister cancels trip to Fiji following withdrawal from PESA Plus. Stay with us.
Dalovina guia dolosana angito talita kini ana warong ng Bula FM e Golden Point Resort basendo nambando ana here binaka.
Bula binaka na dang kotevita utu ngoi 90 ando talita wale warong ng Bula FM nambando ana set.
Na dang ko makilesi ko rekraki ana siya ng Bula FM nambando ana set. Bula FM number 2 NSR.
Welcome back. New Minister for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation, Mereseni Vuniwanga, and her assistant Veena Bhatnagar are ready to take up the challenge. Both are currently wrapping up their term with their respective ministries. Sharin Shivan spoke with them earlier today.
Women, children and poverty alleviation are three priority areas for the government, and newly appointed Minister Mereseni Vuniwanga says she is ready for her new portfolio.
It's an area of government that I've never worked in before, so yes, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm sure it's going to be a very challenging and at the same time very pleasant area to serve in.
Vuniwanga says gender equality and eliminating violence against women and girls will be the major focus. Assisting her will be the outgoing Assistant Health Minister Veena Bhatnagar.
I will be more connected to the women, to our children, to our senior citizens, to our less fortunate and of course to our disabled. So obviously I'm looking forward to working with this ministry and giving my 100%.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama announced the cabinet reshuffle 3 days ago, saying this will enhance the ability to continue to provide high level of services expected by all Fijians. Sharin Shivan, FBC News.
Outgoing Health and Medical Services Minister Chone Usamate says the employment, industrial relations and productivity portfolio is an area he is familiar with. Usamate has already served in this role before the 2014 general elections. Savaira Tambua reports.
Chone Usamate will focus on the health aspect of workers in his new capacity as the employment minister. Usamate says a healthy working population is vital to productivity.
At the end of the day, productivity too is related to the health of workers. So that is obviously an area that we need to strengthen. There is a whole infrastructure that is already in place, and we need to be able to work in partnership with employers and employees to make sure that we can not only enhance OHS, but the health aspect of OHS. That will become something that's very important.
Meanwhile, outgoing Minister for Employment, Industrial Relations and Productivity, Semi Korela-Bissau, says he is looking forward to taking up his new role. Korela-Bissau took over the Employment Minister's portfolio in October last year following Churchy Conrote's appointment as the President of Fiji.
I'm going to fill a big boot, being vacated by the Honorable Oceana Ingamu. I will ask him to give me a brief, and he's been doing a marvelous job, I think, for the last 2 years, and I've just got to look ahead and see what I can do to carry on the work that he has been carrying out.
The two ministers say they are committed to providing a higher level of service to all Fijians. Sabaira Tambua, FBC News.
The new Health and Medical Services Minister, Rosie Akbar, says she will keep an eye on improving services. She says this is important in achieving the ministry's vision and mission. Anna Ravulo has the report.
As the new Minister for Health and Medical Services, Rosie Akbar plans to improve services and ensuring they reach all Fijians.
And the quality of the services that is out there for the Fijian people, with the team that I have and with the team that I intend to build within the Health Ministry, we would definitely like to improve service delivery.
Akbar adds that it's not easy for her to leave the Ministry for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation.
As much as I'm happy about taking the new role, I'm going to miss my ministry. I sort of felt that it was my ministry, and given the new portfolio health, I think it's just going to be an extension of the work that I did with Ministry of Women, basically in terms of looking after the needs of the vulnerable.
After serving 2 years as the Minister for Women, Akbar takes up her new portfolio this Saturday. Anna Ravulo, FBC News.
Students across Fiji will have equal access to education under the government's digital literacy program. Minister responsible Dr. Mahendra Reddy appeared on the For the Record program last night and said this is the reason for providing tablets for Year 12 and 13 students. The announcement has drawn criticism, people questioning how tablets would ever be taken seriously as learning tools.
Gradually, we're trying to remove all obstacles to student learning throughout Fiji, so that every child is on equal footing. Unfortunately, people who are opposing this don't understand that, look, the children of the rich and elite already have access to it. And here we want to ensure that the others who are not able to afford it also have access to this.
Dr. Reddy is adamant with the right application, these tools can help improve the teaching-learning process.
There will still be some who might beat the system, and then we will be able to pick up that who are accessing these particular sites. But again, those few people should not stop us from introducing technology and digital literacy to the students in Fiji.
The idea is to slowly replace textbooks with tablets, but not everything is being changed. The traditional methods of teaching will remain.
A lot of e-books are out there, a lot of materials electronically out there, and some of these materials are not in hard copy form.
The ministry is hoping a donor will cover the $3 million cost for just over 20,000 tablets for Year 12 and 13 students. And we were going to break to sports now, but we have a breaking statement coming in from the Prime Minister's office, which I will quickly summarize before we move to sports. The Prime Minister has released a statement in relation to comments that were made by members of the international community in relation to the detention of the political leaders a few days ago. The statement from the Prime Minister's office, from the Prime Minister Voreng Bainimarama himself, reads that it's disappointing that elements of the international community, without any objectivity, have issued statements of concern about the detention and questioning of Fijians allegedly contravening Fiji's laws. He says the Public Order Act, amongst other provisions, requires any group to hold a public meeting to apply for a permit from police before the proposed event. The statement goes on to say from the Prime Minister that Fiji has a sovereign right to make its own laws, and in the case of the Public Order Act, it exists because of our colonial past and an unfortunate history of civil unrest in post-independent Fiji, which cannot be repeated. Of course, we will bring you detailed coverage in our later radio bulletins as well as our television bulletin, but we will now move to sports, and Jamie is up next.
Okay, Edwin, and good evening. Coming up after the break, 6 local golfers to compete at Fiji International, and Vodafone Premier League taking shape. These stories and more coming up.
Namaste, Golden Point Resort. Raki Raki Me. Mirchi FM is garam garam. Mirchi FM is hot.
I'm Sanjay Tabuake. Mirchi FM is hot.
I'm Harshana. I love Mirchi FM. It's hot in Laltoga.
Hi, मैं अविनाश हूँ. मैं लंबासा से बोल रहा हूँ. मैं हमेशा मिर्ची एफएम सुन रहा हूँ. मिर्ची एफएम is so hot.
मैं शालिनी देवी from Covert Avenue. जैसे आँख खुलती है वैसे मिर्ची एफएम मुझे मस्त कर देती है. मिर्ची एफएम is hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Six local golfers will take part at this year's Fiji International Tournament. This is one up from the number of Fijians who took part last year. Rohit Deo with the story.
Good news for local golfers to rub shoulders with the best from around the world.
2 of them were at the Fiji Open, as you recall, which went to the winner, who was a New Zealander, and then the highest Fijian was Sam Lee, of course. Then the other 4 Fijians were qualified recently at Natandola, and so they have all qualified from the Fiji Professional Golf Association, including amateurs as well.
Unfavorable weather conditions were a hindrance last year, and organizers are keeping their fingers crossed that the weather gods smile on them this year.
In terms of rain and the weather, obviously, I think we were a little bit unlucky last year. We had a low pressure come through, and that was part of the reason we had the bad weather. We've moved it a little bit earlier, a week earlier actually, and so hopefully, fingers crossed, we're having all our bad weather right now.
Fiji Rugby Sevens captain and tournament ambassador Osea Kolinisau says he is looking forward to his second tournament.
Last year I got to learn to play golf, and I've been playing it with Ben. I'm getting to love the game of golf now. Hopefully my game improves this year than when I started last year.
The Fiji International will be held from the 6th to the 9th of next month at the Natandola Bay Championship Golf Course in Singatoka. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, Fiji Water today extended their sponsorship for the tournament for another year and remain the official water supplier for the event. The Lautoka, Lambasa, and Riketi, Mba and Nandi football teams will play 2 matches each in the Vodafone Premier League this weekend. Suva, the only undefeated team in the competition, leads the standings with 12 points after 4 matches. Rohit Deo has more.
We have got added time in there. The header through.
The Vodafone Premier League competition is slowly shaping up as the end of round 1 approaches.
We played a few matches last week, and week before that even we utilized the public holiday which was given on 7th of September for a match, and we are progressing slowly towards the end of first round, and we look forward to start off with the second round in next 2 weeks.
Suva has looked good so far this season and has yet to lose a match, while Lautoka, Nandi, Lambasa and Rewa are all providing stiff competition. 7 teams except bottom place Nanronga feature in this week's competition. Looking at the results in the last few rounds of the Premier League, it can be said that competition is heating up. Pal says this may be due to Oceania Champions League spots up for grabs.
The major one is a spot in OCL 2016. 2 teams will qualify this season as stated earlier, so teams are really fighting hard for that.
Nandi is the defending champion of the competition, while Suva finished as runner-up last year. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
The Vodafone Cup Rugby League competition is now down to 4 teams. In closely fought quarter-final matches last Saturday, 3 out of 4 games were decided by 6 points or less. In the semi-finals this Saturday, Kinoya Sea Eagles play Mburinitu Cowboys, while Police Sharks battle Sambetu Roosters. Sambetu Roosters won last year's title, defeating Nambour Broncos 16-6 in the final. Nandi will challenge Ranunga for the HFC Bank Fairbrother Rugby Trophy this weekend. This will be the Stallions' 6th defence this year, having successfully beaten Suva, Malolo, Namosi, Naitasiri and Northland. After Nandi, Madhuata and Navosa will be the last 2 challengers. Ranunga plays Nandi on Saturday at a venue yet to be confirmed. Manchester City remains undefeated in the English Premier League after 4 rounds, their latest 2-1 win coming against rivals Manchester United. Meanwhile, City leads the points table with 12 points, while Chelsea is second with 9. That's it from sports this evening. It's back to Edwin now with business.
The New Zealand Minister for Trade has cancelled his visit to Fiji this week. Todd McClay was to meet with his counterpart Fayaz Koya to discuss the Pacific Agreement on Closer Economic Relations, or PESA Plus. However, he's cancelled the trip since Fiji has withdrawn from PESA Plus.
They was coming out of their own accord, but that's their choice. So not an issue, not a problem. Doesn't affect our relationship.
New Zealand media reports McClay will visit Fiji when current issues have been resolved. Lingering showers with cool winds and cloudy skies was the order of the day in the eastern part of the country. The west was cool and dry. Most centres recorded an even 27 degrees this afternoon, while Suva was the coolest at 23. For tomorrow, constant showers with intervals of heavy rain expected in most places. And looking on to Wednesday, expect overcast conditions accompanied by persistent showers throughout the country. At sea, southeast winds 20 to 25 knots, easing to 15 to 20 knots from tomorrow. Expect rough to moderate conditions. And recapping the main stories, President opens new session of Parliament, files of detained politicians handed to the Director of Public Prosecutions Office, and ministers ready for new portfolios. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Results from last week's poll question now, and we asked, should corporate companies invest more in the Northern Division? 88% answered yes. This week we ask, should an expatriate be hired as the new Sevens coach? To answer, visit our FBC website, and you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our Facebook page, FBC News, or if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Edwin Nand. Good night.
Bula, I'm Dori from Nasinu Market. My choice is simple, Gold FM. Only the classic hits.
My name is Yvonne. I'm from Nandi. I love Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Sayandra, my name is Sunny. Only the Gold FM at Golden Point Resort, Raki Raki.
Hi, I'm Anna of Nasinu. When it comes to a radio, my choice is always Gold FM. Only the classic hits.
My name is Anna and I'm from Nandi. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.